East Line Board of Ed regular meeting to order. For those of you who can stand, if you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just happened right before the pledge.
It went on.
Oh, yeah, it was good. Okay.
Okay.
You're good. It went on before the pledge.
Yeah.
Okay, next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we will close public comment and move on. We have some minutes to approve. Minutes from the January 22nd, 2020. January 22nd, 2024 Board of Ed regular meeting. Any comments or changes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 22nd regular meeting.
Second.
Further comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Lisa, raise your hand. Opposed and abstained. Okay, minutes pass. Now we're moving on to, we have a special recognition and we have some Viking Valor Award.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it right over to Mrs. Showman, who's gonna, do our Viking Valor Award.
Great. Good evening. Happy 100th day of school. It's an exciting time. Tonight, I'm here to share that our Flanders Viking Valor recipient is our school nurse, Tracy Fullen, known to most as Nurse Tracy. Her dedication, compassion, and expertise have made a substantial impact on our school community. Day in and day out, Nurse Tracy tends to the physical and emotional well-being of our students and staff alike. Whether it's a scraped knee or a bellyache, Tracy approaches every individual with care and uses her clinical skills and expertise to connect with everyone who walks through her door. She brings an immense amount of experience from her previous work in hospital emergency rooms and is a steady hand and calming presence in times of crisis. She navigates challenges with professionalism, and her commitment to ensuring the health and safety of our school community is commendable. Tracy goes above and beyond required nursing responsibilities and takes time to listen to others and educate staff. This year, she helped to identify staff in our building with CPR certification and aided in the planning of medical response situations. Additionally, she delivered professional learning to staff about how to identify and respond to signs of cardiac arrest. Her proactive nature has helped build staff capacity and confidence when it comes to health and wellness. She's also worked hard to obtain a Heart-Safe School designation for Flanders through Project Adam, collaborating with the local physician affiliate at Yale Children's Hospital. Staff have shared that Nurse Tracy has made them feel more comfortable and prepared in the event of a medical situation, and her work with staff has been important and appreciated. When it comes to students, Nurse Tracy is the trusted adult for many. She participates in our before-school mileage running program with our students, and when asked their thoughts about her, these are some of the student responses. She takes care of me well. I always listen to her suggestions, and I trust her. She's a great nurse and is very nice. She makes me feel good. She's nice and giving. She really cares for other people no matter what. She makes me feel happy and comfortable and really helps the school. Our parent community also has shared how much of an impact she has had on the students of Flanders. One parent shared that when she asked her son what the best part of his day was, he replied, "Well, I got to see Nurse Tracy." So it is clear to see that Tracy leads with genuine concern and compassion for all and embodies the essence of what it takes to be an incredible school nurse. So thank you, Tracy, for being the heart of our school and supporting all in your care.
Grace, we're gonna have you come on up. And I will say, whenever we're at Flanders School, first thing, if we're going down the hall, we see Tracy, she always has a smile on her face, which is so greeting and nice, and we appreciate it. And thank you for all that you continue to do for the school. You want to introduce your family? I think you got some family members here. We gotta introduce them, right?
Yeah, my son and Tara, my daughter.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. All right, come on over here. We're gonna get a picture. Mrs. Spazione and Mr. Showman, come on in. Here. This in recognition of exemplary dedication and commitment to ensuring the health and safety of all of our students and staff.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate all you do.
Thank
So we're
you.
gonna turn actually this way, right over here. We got a camera and we can come in together. Get a picture.
Sorry. You're good.
Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Good way to start out a meeting, so thank you, Tracy. We have special reports and we do not have any student representatives, but we do have a selectman representative.
Hi, good evening. So Board of Selectmen, we've been busy. I am ex officio for the library, so I did attend a library meeting and the renovation report for the feasibility study for the renovation of the library is not complete yet, so they're still waiting for that full report. You see, while McCook's, everybody probably knows at this point, as you know, went down and the town approved an emergency appropriation of $25,000 for emergency repairs, for temporary repairs. Until such time, then we can get some permanent repairs. We've had some subsequent storms and the seawall has held the repairs that we've done so far. So that's really good. We had the Park and Rec come and present to us for the master plan for Darrow Pond. And this area is going to be for basically passive recreation, education, conservation, some hiking, cycling, and disc golf. That's what they're presenting to the Board of Selectmen. I don't think it's been finalized yet, but that's kind of what they're talking about. So it sounds exciting. For the outdoor education, it would be for the kids to come. And they would also have a dock, access to a dock. Wouldn't be for boating or anything like that, but so that's about it. Do people have questions for me? Those are like the big things that have been going on.
We're excited about that Darrow's Pond.
Yeah, I was very excited and it just sounds, I think people need that, especially now, you know, post pandemic, you need that space just to go and be in nature. And I think that's it. So.
Excited science teachers. Yeah.
I was there, I have to say, I was there the night they presented and it looked really great.
Yeah, didn't it? Yeah, it's
All of the concept map and all the way that they planned out everything, it looks really good.
yeah, I think it's gonna be really great for the town.
How many total acres? I'm just curious, how many total acres? Do you
So
know?
there's 100 acres that they are gonna be modifying. There's 200 acres that has an easement on it that they can't really touch. So it's just 100 acres. Anything? Okay, if anything comes up, please feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Great, thanks so much.
Sure.
Coming in.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, moving on, we have a couple of consent agenda items.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as posted. A second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Lee and Elisa both aye. Oppose and abstain. Okay, they both passed. The first one for those here and at home. The first one was an approval of a donation from the Niantic Lions Charities to the Shoreline Videos Club in the amount of $750. And the second one was a donation from the Niantic Rotary Foundation to the Pathways Automotive Repair Program at the high school in the amount of $500. So thanks to both the Niantic Rotary Foundation and the Niantic Lions Charities. So thanks both for their continued support. They're very supportive. Don't always see a lot of those, so appreciate it. Moving on to discussion action items. First item is we have our for discussion information. We have a Flanders School Principal Report, and we have Danielle with some guests here.
Hello again. First, thank you for giving the opportunity to talk a little bit about what's happening at Flanders, get a glimpse into the school. I'll begin just by providing an overview of our work towards district goals and Board of Ed goals and how our work is aligned. And then I will be introducing some special guests that I have here to share about their work in supporting positive school culture and climate at Flanders. So just an update in regards to the connection to pathways. We had discussed earlier in the year, elementary principals, that we would be working on a partnership with EB. So wanted to update the board as to how that has progressed. So we did meet with EB representation and will be participating in a 6-week course with EB. It will not happen until the fall and spring of next year. So Lily B. Haynes will engage in the fall, and then Nyack Center in Flanders will in the spring. So the goal of that program will be to educate and expose students to the maritime trades. The first lesson will really focus on an introduction to submarines, and students will learn about manufacturing and buoyancy, and then lessons 2 through 6 will cover the different trades. So welding, pipe fitting, electric machining, and we're really excited to engage in that work. So we'll make sure to take lots of pictures and keep you updated as that happens next year. We've also continued our work around high-level instructional practices. At Flanders, we've held 2 teacher learning walks thus far. Our first experience was really organic in the sense that teachers were able to visit classrooms of their choice and look for different strategies and tools that they could put in their own toolkit. So we focused more on routines and transitions. It was the start of the school year, but our most recent walks, which just occurred on January 23rd, were focused on explicit instruction, which is one of our goals this school year. And more specifically, the I do section, the modeling that goes into explicit teaching. So our teaching and learning meetings, as well as staff professional learning, have also been going a little bit deeper into the component of explicit instruction, which really emphasize having a clear learning statement and expectations for a lesson, ensuring that teachers provide step-by-step demonstrations and that language is really clear and concise. So our second round was really successful. Teachers found that it was a really positive experience, and one anecdote that just comes to mind in particular was that a teacher in the morning was able to observe a class, turnkey that learning into her lesson that someone else observed. And then at the end of the day, another person saw. So 3 different learnings throughout the day came through this opportunity. So staff have been really enjoying it and grateful that we are able to use the structures in place to do this. We also recently just hosted administrative learning walks last week at Flanders with similar look fors. After our walks, we were able to debrief and capture the many pieces of evidence of explicit instruction and discuss next steps for our practice in regards to what Flanders would like to work on. And we'll be looking at the next component, which is guided practice. So what it looks like once the teacher has modeled the explicit learning and how to incorporate students in that next step. We've continued to work on culture and climate through our school-based committees. Flanders has engaged in monthly professional learning around responsive classroom to calibrate staff understanding and to support an assured experience across the building. Topics have included how to create positive learning environments, responding to challenging behaviors, and interactive modeling. As a staff, we've just been working to increase opportunities for collaboration and bonding. So we recently formed an after-school workout group to support health and wellness. And then the most important thing, I want to allow our students to discuss how they are having a positive impact at Flanders. So I am excited to introduce the members of our 4th grade leadership club. They'll be sharing about the leadership club process, the components of our club, and how this group of students works to help support a positive school culture and climate at Flanders. So I'd like to welcome Ada, Eliza, Jack, Dee, and Ishan.
Show me, you want me to start the PowerPoint now?
That would be great. Just give you a thumbs up when it's time to change. If we can scroll down, Edie, ready?
Good evening. My name is Edie, and I'm going to share about the Leadership Club process. The Leadership Club is a group of 4th grade students that come together to help support Flanders students, staff, and the East Lyme community. We meet as a full group once per month and also meet based on our interest or events happening around the building on an as-needed basis. You may be wondering how a 4th grader can be part of the club. At the start of the year, all 4th grade students receive a flyer that asks 3 questions. Any interested students are encouraged to answer the questions and turn the paper into Ms. Showman. The first question is, why do you want to be on the leadership club? Well, I wanted to be on the Planners Leadership Club because I thought it'd be a great little club to do with my friends and help out our school. And also, I've learned from the past fourth graders, you could do so many fun things like pass out popcorn and take yearbook photos. The second question is, what qualities and strengths do you have that would make you a great fit for the leadership club? Some of the qualities that I have are that I'm flexible, kind, responsible, safe. The last question is, explain what it means to be safe, responsible, and respectful as a leader at Flanders. In my opinion, being safe in school is to watch for your surroundings, wearing protective footwear, washing hands before you eat, walking and playing carefully. Being responsible in school is following the school rules, listening to our teachers, and helping others and helping our friends when they are in need. And being respectful is treating others the way we want to be treated and not interrupting others when they are talking. The Leadership Club has 3 different pillars. The first is community service. Students in our club feel it's important to support our Eastline community. As a committee, we brainstormed several service acts that we would complete. In November, we held a food drive and collected non-perishable items to donate to the Care and Share of Eastline. Leadership students visited classrooms and shared about the project. They also taught students about non-perishable food items, which are those that do not go bad. In total, we collected over 200 items. We also just finished a knitting project. A group of Leadership Club students made a goal to knit at least 50 hats to donate to local hospitals for babies and toddlers. Each student committed to knitting 3 hats and some finished even more. We are both excited and proud to donate our hats next week.
So these are a few examples of the hats. You can drop a few around Dina, that the 4th grade leadership club has knitted over the past month.
You take orders?
We'll pass them around.
So cute. Like, it's a
I know.
That's awesome.
You can just put them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how many were handed out.
In the spring, some of our other community ideas include picking up trash to make our school grounds cleaner, teaching students about recycling, and planting for the greenhouse. Second pillar is focused on ways we can support a school. Once per month, Flanders Leadership Club students will help pass out popcorn as a 4th grade fundraiser. We pick up bags from the teachers' lounge and deliver to classrooms. We also help take photos to put in the yearbook. Ms. Showman notifies the photography group when there are important events happening around the building. We then sign out an iPad, visit the classroom, and the location of things. Pictures focus on the main event happening. Our group works hard to make sure every student is included. The club also discusses building wide expectations and how we can make sure they are being followed around the school. Hallway monitor positions were created to help ensure a safe transition from classrooms to buses and parent pickup or fun clubs. 4th graders put on neon vests and stand in 2 different locations in the hallways. They encourage students to walk safely and also greet them as they go by. When we have new students to the building, Leadership Club students will meet them on their first day. They will bring them to their classroom and also provide a tour of the building.
Lastly, a group of Leadership Club students runs our all-school meetings. We practice a whole school greeting, celebrate birthdays, and introduce students who have submitted work for the arts, literacy, and classroom connections. As part of the all-school meeting, students sit with their buddy classes, and the fourth grade students make sure to model expected behaviors for the rest of the school. As part of the Leadership Club, we also reflect on what it means to be a good leader. Our first meeting, we discussed the qualities that make a good leader. The group came up with descriptions such as standing up for others, being honest, doing the right thing, and being respectful.
We also participate in the team building challenge. For example, we all did the tallest tower challenge, where we needed to build the tallest tower they could with certain materials and a time limit. When finished, we discussed how group members showed aspects of being a leader.
At our meetings, we also discuss leadership expectations around the school and regularly review what we are doing to help ourselves accountable.
All in all, the Leadership Club has already made a big difference around the school, and we are all excited to see what the second half of the year brings us.
Thank you for having us.
You, Miss Shelton, for making this club.
Thank you for joining. Any questions or anything for our leadership?
Brilliant.
They were awesome. The club just started this year then?
We've had it a couple years. It's just fourth graders working on leadership and helping that transition to the middle school.
Okay. Is this at all of our elementary schools or just yours?
Just ours right now? Yeah.
Well, good job.
How often do you guys meet?
Usually like once a
For
month.
Everybody. in the leadership club.
Sometimes maybe
Yeah.
like a few
For
times.
knitting, for interests.
Like once a week.
Yeah, interests. And
Yeah, so we have a whole group once a month and then based on their interests, like the knitting club, we were meeting once a week, like that portion. And based on need in the building, photography group might meet to go take pictures. Divided in that sense.
I love it.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
There's one comment for all the students who presented. As you grow, presentation is very important. I want to give you kudos. That was a great presentation. You were coordinated, you were systematic, you were informative, and you made it interesting. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you
All right.
so much.
so much.
You can go home now.
Yes.
Good luck with those knitted hats.
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Find good homes. Thanks for coming.
Good.
That's our future. I think that's good. What?
If I had known what was on.
I almost like the time presentations. Come on. Just they brighten my day.
We still have, Mr. Provost, I think, left. And, keeps it interesting.
It does. This is what we're doing. We're doing it for.
Okay, I mean, what a great way to transition. Discussion action item, finance facilities community, I mean. Discussion information, 2024-2025 budget review, so, I think maybe I'll just quickly open, pass to Jeff, and then, talk. So just in terms of the plan, just so everybody knows where we are in the process, right? So the superintendent has presented his budget 6.08, correct, 6.08. And now it's kind of in our hands to come up with what we want to then move forward to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. So that our goal is to come up with an idea tonight, because then on the 26th.
26th, yes.
26th, we have the public hearing, and then call it a forum, where we'll get feedback. So we want to make sure the public, if they're gonna, when they come to the hearing, they have an idea, not that we've decided, but an idea of what we're looking for and what we're proposing as a Board of Ed. So tonight, if we can come to that, again, no vote. It's just more for information, and if anybody is listening and watching, that they have an idea of, what are we thinking about and where are we heading, so that they can give us feedback at the public hearing. And let's go to, if we can't get to that point tonight, we don't have another meeting currently scheduled before the public hearing, but we could add a meeting for further discussion. So that is open for next Monday or which Monday is, one of them is a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
2 weekends, so maybe next Monday if needed, but I'm hoping that we can kind of come together with a kind of idea, propose thinking where we're thinking. So that's our goal tonight, and then pass it to Jeff, kind of to give the updates and some of the things that he's added, changed since his proposed budget.
Yes, thanks, Eric. So you all should have been able to hopefully take a look at that proposed changes sheet that was in board docs. We had shared in the weekly update. We could put two different scenarios in here. We've gotten some more favorable reviews regarding health insurance that originally it was supposed to be between the 3 to 7% range increase. Now they're saying between 3 to 5%. We're actually hoping, and maybe it's trending down towards the 3% increase range, which would be really good. But what we did was we put a scenario of, let's say insurance, the Board of Ed wants to leave it at 5% or 6% as their final number, because we won't know what the final state number is until later on when this is in the hands of, the Board of Finance. The other changes and adjustments just want to make you aware of, and let's just use the 6% insurance increase for now. That's that bottom bracket. So health insurance at 6%, you can see the savings there would bring the overall budget from 6.08 down to 5.58. We also put in those reduction of two teacher positions, I should say, that are in there that have no impact on jobs. It's through attrition, the two elementary positions. That brings it down to 5.25.
And just, sorry, and the sheet that you had showed us on the classroom sizes already had these two removed.
Correct.
So we were within the guidelines of at every grade.
At every grade.
With those two reductions already,
Correct. Yep. Thanks. Yep.
addition reductions.
Good point. Then we added in the middle school sports. It was at 10,000, but we upped it to 20,000 to include the assistant athletic director stipend position, as well as any other incidents with additional transportation or paying for officials. So that's at 20,000.
Can I just?
Yep.
I'm sorry. to
No, go ahead.
interrupt,
Go ahead.
We had 10.
Yeah.
So is this now 30?
No,
We're adding.
no,
20?
it went up from 10 to, we added 10.
Okay. we
So
added
now
10.
it's 20 versus 10. So it's, yeah, good clarification. The nursing, we talked about school nursing, and the change that we're going to do in relation to moving away from VNA is they are no longer providing services. The 50,000, we're still working through this, but Mariana has done a good job analyzing what the new costs would be by keeping all of our existing nurses. But the 50,000 increase would be for the cost to split a supervisor or have some nursing supervisor duties, preferably shared with a neighboring district. So we're in the process of working on that, and also, looking at some other scenarios too. But for the most part, we want to keep our existing nurses. They've done a great job. But we're uncovering every rock and looking at all sorts of different alternatives. But that would hopefully also, if we contract out another service, we would want them to hire our existing nurses. So, and Kim and I meet with the school nurses later this week as well to have some further conversations with our existing staff members through BNA, who will soon hopefully become ours. So that's the 50,000 for the split nursing supervisor position with another neighboring districts. And then we had some savings in contracts and services that we found that came to light more recently of 17,000 going into next year. So all said and done, if you're, at the 6% insurance increase, your overall budget would look to be a your overall increase would be a 5.34% with all of those components adjusted in. So that's where we can kind of work from there for further conversation. And I want to also just preface, we should have some conversation about capital, because capital is a big number and the need for capital. I know Dr. Lund is here. We're going to talk about the 10-year plan as well as another agenda item. And also, I just want to make mention, I spoke with Chief Finkelstein, our chief of police in town, and they are putting in their budget 2 officers going into next year. We were talking about the idea of during the school year, one of those officers becoming like a Don Hull. We have Don Hull who goes between all the schools. Don does a challenge program at the middle school with students, which is formerly the DARE program. If we had another officer that would be able to roam the schools, that would help support our security staff and also just overall help support Don and the work of the police being, present within our schools. And in the summertime, where they're busy, the police department, they would have the officer just like they have Don Hull in the summertime. So the Board of Ed is in favor of that as an option. I would be happy to write a letter on the board's behalf to the Board of Selectmen in the town in support of Chief Finkelstein and two officers.
I think that's great. I know Don does a lot.
He
For
does.
schools, for parents, for families, for students. He does
A lot of
above and
connections.
beyond his job. Don does.
There's a lot of connections that go on. Where Don working with Chris Olson, our security director. I talk to Don a lot. We all do. So that's something that we're, if we're in support of, I would do and get that down to Finkelstein, the town.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
So maybe for the discussion, maybe we start with how do people feel about where we are, these changes and comfort in that. Then we can talk about our support of the SRO or thoughts around the SRO. And then capital, we're gonna have to somehow work. But let's maybe focus on this and just, it'd be great to hear from everyone's just general thoughts on what they're thinking about from a budget perspective. Jamie?
What is the current line item for VNA?
$630,000.
How many nurses is that?
5 nurses and three nursing aides. Mary Ann's done a good job factoring in some additional health insurance costs. There might be some nurses that might roll over onto our health insurance, so that's embedded within that $630,000 estimate. Then the 50,000 would be on top of the 630.
Do we realistically think we can employ 5 nurses and 3 aides for $630,000?
We do. Mary Ann, I don't know if you want to kind of
Yes,
speak to that a little bit.
so again, I did some research on other nursing contracts throughout the state for districts that have their own nurses. So using that highest salary level that I could find, I projected out based on our hours and our school days. So the only real factor that we don't know is how many would take our health insurance.
Okay.
So based on the number, I kind of did an average to say, okay, how many of our active employees take, 1 person, 2 person family, and I was conservative and made an assumption that more would take family, which is the higher rate, but that's really the only, well, and obviously I say the only, I'm gonna assume that our hourly rate will be within range of what those other nursing contracts are.
Okay. Thank you.
Alicia and Lee, if you either raise your hand with your hand or the hand through Zoom, either way, we can see it. Any other thoughts, comments? Well, I'll kick us off a little bit as well. So, I guess we're, a couple things that I was thinking. I'm still not fully confident in our healthcare, the state plan to predict what the insurance increase is. 2 years ago, they really blew it. But even so, it's always like comes down and I'm just not. So I would, my person, if they're saying 3 to 5 and we're at 6, obviously if it goes down, it goes down and we're gonna not use the money. So it's easy. So I would rather stay at 6. It's easier to come down in a few months than we go at 5 and they end up at 6 and it's harder to go up because then we've already started to have those discussions. So I like the 6% plan. I do think, the reduction of the 2 positions still keeps us, our elementary schools are all within the guidelines, which we've really struggled to get that in the recent years. So I think that's good. I'm happy we can support the middle school sports. The nurses seems to make sense. We have to do something, and the saving contractors. So I do like that. The one thing I would like to add back a little is for those of us who were able to go on the high school tour, or people who have spent time in the high school, we've kind of been on and Kevin kind of talked a little bit from the athletic facilities. If you reflect back, we've kind of been on a break fix budget for the high school for a long time, like many years. And I think as you walk around the high school, you see that we really haven't invested in, and I'm not, I'm not talking millions, I'm talking like just invested. And if you go, you can start at the locker room, you can go to the auditorium, you can look at what's being done in the woodworking wing or area, that a little investment would go a long way. And there's something about, the pride of the pride of coming into the building, and you have this building that you're proud of, and that does help with climate and culture and a lot of the things that we're pushing. And some of the things, well, how do we get that done? And so I would like to propose, I would be interested in, if anybody gets a chance, if you haven't seen it, and the locker rooms are hard to get into, obviously, because there's students could be in there. But if you get a chance or it's open or something, and you can go in and take a look at the state of affairs of our locker room, it's hard to, for me, it's kind of unacceptable. Like, we can't have that. That's not fair to our students. It's not fair to our community to have something like that. The auditorium can use the woodworking and what they're doing. And we have a new teacher, past 6 months. He's done, looks like he's done a great job. And now, well, maybe we can support that even more because he's taken that first step, and maybe we can help him take the second and third step. So, and there might be others, but I'd like to put some dollars, and I have thoughts on a number, but if we can build something so that each year we're investing in the school and making a difference, that, it's not all going to happen next year. It's not, it might take a few years, but you tackle a piece at a time, and the students who are here can see that we are investing in the school and trying to make a difference. So that would be the only thing that I would add back. So, we're at 5.34. Mariana, if we added, I don't know, 250 or 300K, how high would that go? Bring us, we're at what, 540, so we're at 540, so for everyone, 540 is a percent, right?
Roughly, yeah.
That was the number last year, I think. So
140.
Yep, so you're using the 6%, staying at the 6%.
they did the 6%, so we're at the
50?
5.34. So, and so everybody knows, if we move in either direction by 540,000, that either adds a percent to the overall budget or brings it down by a percent. So that's just a good
5.77.
0.77.
Yeah, 1%, it's now 577.
Oh, 577, okay.
540 was.
Last year, right? Yeah.
So,
Okay, so that would just, and so that's my initial thoughts. I mean, I think that superintendent and team have come together with a, you know, a reasonable, straightforward budget that has taken some, you know, with challenges and looked at stuff, and this seems pretty reasonable, but.
Well, Eric Gunterland is here. Are you not? So we talked about this last year and we talked about the morale and the importance of maintaining our integrity and our appearance and all that goes with the school system. And does that sound like a good idea that we would bring that up for you? What do you think? What is your, I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but.
Well, it's, a lot of those ideas were mentioned are already built into the CIP. So it's a function of how quickly do you want to head or move ahead? In what manner do you wish to fund it as well, because CIP typically is bonded funds and whatnot. And of course, there is a threshold of capability to get things done, so I have to balance that as well with the other demands, but weighing all those factors, you know, there's always a capability prioritize to figure out what you want to do first, and if those things are ahead of others, we would address them. Always keep in mind that those items that pop up, which, you know, things like Lily B. Haynes today, which I'll mention a little bit later, but those unexpected expenses and repairs that suddenly take it a different way. But certainly I've been looking at those ideas already, but just a little bit further out. Probably a certain quantities of those projects earlier.
I mean, we know you're busy and we don't want to stress you, but we do want to maintain what we consider the high standards, the high bar for how our school looks. And it sounds like maybe there's a couple of low bars and like the locker room or someplace, I don't know, places.
Well, it got to the point where I didn't think I would be able to do it. I would tell you and I would ask for more help.
Of course. All right, well, I think that helps, right? It's further discussion.
Anybody want to give their thoughts on the healthcare, other things, and anything else?
Like,
What do you got?
yeah, I like the idea of staying with the 6%, just to be like a little more conservative, like you were saying. Because it's gonna be easier to bring the budget number down. Because that's exactly like you just said. So it's 577,000 would move the budget to like 6.34 or six, like how does,
Yeah, so if
Yeah,
you,
okay.
1%, yeah.
okay,
yeah, so if you took 577 away, it would go to 434. If you add 577, it would go to 634. Okay.
So, Eric, I like your idea of what you're proposing. I went through the school walkthrough as well, and I kind of made observations which I actually had not paid attention to before. When my son was in school, and I think it is a good idea to have some amount set aside for things that we are actually planning to do, but we just don't have the ways of doing that. The only question I have is, I know there was some discussion on maybe having a list of priority list. If you have a priority list, instead of setting aside just a dollar amount without any specification, does it make sense to look at the priority list, see what's really urgent, and then put a dollar amount to that? Does that make sense? But I mean, in general, I like your concept. How we implement that is I think maybe a discussion, but I support what you just said.
Thanks, Vivek. I completely agree. It's there's a little chicken and egg, like we need the list. But if we're somewhat willing to entertain the idea, then we can kind of pull forward. And then I think that is a really good discussion to have about, you know, what are the priority investments? What capacity does Chris and team have to do it? Great. Lee and then Elisa. I'm not sure who had first, but I saw Lee first and then Elisa.
Yeah, my feedback was already covered. I'm also aligned with keeping it at 6 for now. Maybe it's because I am still feeling the pain of being burned in the past. So that feels like the better bet for me at this point in time. And then similarly, I really like the idea of a priority list. I feel like there's so many things that pop up throughout the year that feel really urgent and pressing. And it'd be nice to get aligned on that so that we can have a good focus and make sure that we're making really intentional decisions about where to invest.
Actually, Elisa?
Thanks, Eric. Yep, just to make a few comments, some extending what others have talked about on the overall increase. Yes, I agree with the approach of going with the 6%. I think it makes sense to be more conservative. There is history that I think we should consider. And and aligned with the comments of my other board members. The high school investments, I think we're talking about sort of prioritizing, the list. I think that conversation to incorporate almost like a criteria, right? I mean, I think we see the dollars, but I like to see a little bit more around how we're approaching that prioritization. Are we looking at things that are, what's the overall impact, right? What's getting used most is, are there structural things? So kind of just align around, what criteria we're looking at. So we're, kind of all working from the same page on that. And if we're kind of bumping something down, just to also kind of be aligned around why we're doing that. The sports, just one comment is I agree with the 20 versus the 10. If we could have that just noted out with, so we have like the one above it is reduction and you call out, to retirees and health insurance. If you could just kind of break that out, I think that would be helpful because we've added the stipend piece in there in addition. So just kind of break out the 10 and 10, I guess it would be.
But yeah, sure.
And totally aligned with your speaking with Chief Mike around the additional SRO. We've talked about it, I think, here a number of times before, and would sort of clone Officer Don if we could. Definitely have cited the need a number of times. So back that communication.
Thanks, Elisa. Esteban.
So I definitely in agreement of keeping the insurance at 6% for now, just see how things are progressing the next month or so. I am, after doing the walkthrough of the high school last week, I think we did that, definitely in agreement that we should invest some money into updates and repairs and all of that. Although I'm conflicted on how to pay for it though. We're talking about putting this into our regular budget, but those are kind of more aligned with the capital improvement plan. And the reason I want to make that distinction is because we do have other things that, like, as a board, we've talked to, like, things that we want to bring back, like the word languages at the elementary level, right? That's something that we can't do through the capital improvement plan, but it's also something that, like, we know that there was an appetite for, and it will cost, I think, about the same amount of money. So I don't want us to be put into a bind where we're like, okay, we'll save money for locker rooms and all these things that need to be done. But then we're also allowing less flexibility in the budget for the future as to like what new initiatives can we, put forward. Because we have to make sure that we put that in. And I also wanted to ask, because I remember where we ended up with about the non-lapsing account. I know we discussed about that, but I don't remember like. I think it was a no from the town, right?
No, basically that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be-
More details. The short answer is they're not interested in us doing that. So I think that's a great idea. And when you said that, I remember us having this discussion at some point, and I don't remember where it it was probably a few years ago, but putting in the capital plan like a number, 300,000, whatever it is, that's not specified out to a specific projects necessarily, of just things that kind of come up that are capital items. Maybe they could be detailed, but you're right, but just that I don't know how to do this, so Mariana, Chris, but putting, I think Esteban described it well, as something that we can tap into each year. That, okay, now we want to do, this is something that's a priority, we want to do that. I mean, do we have to have everything exactly listed out when we present the plan? Or can we have kind of a number that we
So if,
need to do each year for all this? I mean, we're talking about the high school, but it could be, we renovated 3 elementary schools, and the middle school is newer. Not new, but the high school is not, and it
I think if you want to carry that in your operation budget, you can do it that way. If you want to carry it in the CIP, if it's going to be bonded funds, then it does have to be called out typically because of
specific lines and stuff.
Right.
Okay.
So there's nothing to prevent you from putting an extra $300,000 in the facility budget at any given time.
Maybe that is the better way. So you're right. Stick on that. If we can, to put it,
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
to put it maybe in the capital, maybe we have to. Wow. So are you gonna,
You have to identify it. If we find it.
We're talking about some improvement. First of all, on the general budget stuff, I'm in on all with the rest of the group. I do like the idea of trying to find a way to improve. For the whole time I've been on this board, it infuriates me to walk through the front door and have one door handle lower than the other. That just sets the tone for the building. It's like, what, this is a hack job, right?
yeah.
And it's obviously the locker room and other places but that doesn't show that we're taking pride in the building, right from the front door.
Yeah.
So, we got to find a way to do that, but the next on the list is to talk about our capital plan and what's on that, and maybe we should review that before we.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these items are on
Yeah,
that 10-year
yeah,
plan that your
yeah.
locker rooms, for instance, are on there. Some others. It's just, and Chris has got a rough prioritized list as well, which we could cut.
And I do see sometimes with the 10-year, is just things sit there for a long time.
They get bumped out too.
Yeah, and then nothing. So how do we actually?
How do we make that
We
happen?
make them happen.
That's
That's what I, Jamie.
So I'm not gonna repeat what everybody else has said, because I'm in agreement. I really appreciate what Esteban said about putting in facilities if that's when we can't afford foreign language for our kids, because that's been pushed back so many times and it drives me crazy. But I have a question. Maybe 2 years ago, we talked about putting solar panel parking lots in at the middle school.
Some rough conversations about the idea
Did
of
we go any farther with that, or?
not the parking lot idea, but we were talking about the roof, or maybe, I don't know, Chris, maybe you've had additional conversations.
So I've been working on the energy route parallel to everything else. I have an organization who would like to come and talk to the FFO at an upcoming meeting before coming to the board to do a comprehensive whole district approach to energy saving, whether it's solar panels over there. Actually, I'm meeting tomorrow with the company that now owns the array on the roof by school.
These are
So,
done. I believe.
But instead of being hodgepodge, trying to combine it, so all those things are still in play, but I'm trying to move so that we have a single partner that can assist us in doing things comprehensively. So. if that
These are maybe 5 years left on them or something like that.
may-
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Chris. One comment.
Yeah, please.
I feel fairly certain that the Board of Finance will come.
Yes, I mean,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
just stating a
No,
historical
no,
fact,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all I'm gonna say.
yeah,
So,
don't know how much, but yes.
thank you.
Hopefully, most of it will be that savings between the 6% insurance, and if it does go down to 3%, as each percent is $72,000. You add that together, almost.
When will we have the pricing on the insurance with the state?
Not until final, April.
This year, they said that they're gonna try to get it in late March.
Okay. All right, so we
will have
the final number, of what the increase will be from the state in late March.
So the Board of Finance, I'm not sure exactly when they approve the budget. We vote on it in May.
Referendum in May, but
Okay, so that
we'll still be in discussions probably in late March.
that 6% will be.
We talked at one point about the foundation, the Eastline Foundation, and that's been established at least, and that they might be, I know Old Lyme is so enviable, Old Lyme, because they've always got the foundation kind of supporting some of their projects and things that are going on. How is our foundation?
They're just getting going. It's gonna take a couple of years to really grow the pot of money for that. They're gonna start with small projects for teachers. And then expand from there. So hopefully in the next couple of years, though, maybe there could be, I don't know about a large facility project, but you never know. You get one donor that, drops a couple $100,000, maybe, you never know. So, but that's the goal, to build that up.
So let me just see if I can maybe summarize this part, is I think there's agreement generally with this 6% scenario. And then there's some agreement on we want to make an investment in our facilities. We have to figure out the best, what the list is, some type of prioritized list, so that Chris, Kevin, some combination, whatever, going at the high school versus in other places as well, would be good. And, what's the best with Mariana, what's the best way to capture it? And we can go into the capital plan and go through that next. So that, I think, is that generally aligned on that? Okay. So that's kind of, at least guess the indication, at least for the public hearing, that if people have comments or whatever, they kind of know directionally what are we thinking about and where we are. And then on the SRO, maybe I'll just, I think there's broad general support that, we have 5/6 buildings and we have one SRO. Adding a second really does, Officer Hall does a ton in addition, and just logistically of having multiple buildings, that there'd be a real benefit of having a second. Any concerns about us supporting?
Would there be any costs to us at all or no?
It would be in the town budget, but we would be supporting and recommending and agreeing that we're supportive of it. So, and it really, as Jeff described, there is kind of this win-win, because they're busy during the school year, they're busy helping us. And then when our town population grows by 2x or whatever it does in the summer, you have another officer or two now available to help out in the summer months. So there is a benefit kind of townwide, that it's pretty efficient way of that.
Just basic question, do the police officers wear their blues and carry a gun? I
They do.
don't know.
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
Yep,
just.
they're
curious.
full uniform, Don's in full uniform, most every day unless there's something.
We haven't had
specific.
any issues with any of our parents or anything, or children being concerned that he's carrying a gun.
No,
Okay, good.
no, they're used to them, and
My only issue would be finding another Dom.
Yeah, hard to.
Because he has the
replicate,
students' trust, he's got the staff's trust, he's got the parents' trust.
It takes
but
time.
You have to build.
I mean, he will be different.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, someone it's finding another someone like Don. Who, I mean, Don is indescribable on how.
Have the right personality to be
Yeah.
able
He
to
works
balance.
well with the parents, he works well with the teachers, the kids absolutely trust him.
Agreed.
That's a hard person to find.
Yeah, it's a key position. So it sounds like everybody's in favor of that, and I will write that letter on behalf of the board and district.
Between the two what?
Middle school and high school. He teaches classes at the middle school, so he's there and here and.
Yeah, most of his time is, high school and more middle school. And, he does float into the elementary. Sometimes he's there in the morning just to greet. But it's tough to, to spend some time down there because he's so busy with the other two schools. So you could balance that out nicely. Should be great.
He an East Line resident?
I'm sorry?
He an East Line resident, yeah.
Yes,
He has
yes.
kids in the schools, which helps with the relationship building.
Can I just ask, maybe we can circle back? I just want to make sure because the hearing is the next meeting that we'll have. Am I okay to, sounds like to put that final number, projected increase 6%? Is that what we're saying? Because we don't have kind of a set number, but, or we could work on a set number through Mariana now with the formulas that she has, if you wanted to, but I just want to be clear, make sure I have it, what the board wanted for that hearing.
What do people think? I'd rather not give a specific number because I'm not sure how to best handle this investment thing. Like, how are we investing in the schools and capital or not? But I like the it's below 6.
Yeah, we're doing a lot better than most other districts at just what we're seeing for
And
increases.
this is for the public hearing, because we will hear from the public and hear what they have to say, and that gives us a chance. So it's not voting, it's not approving a number.
I'm comfortable with 6, that 6% and what that leads to.
Flat 6 or 5.99?
No, I'm saying the 6% insurance.
Oh, insurance, yes,
That
yeah.
intact, and then whatever number that creates.
Yep, so 6.
You said you didn't want to go to the public hearing with a number.
I worry if we say, was it 5.34 or something, because if we decide that there's things that we want to, I'd rather say, we still have some room to decide on some things, but directionally, we're probably at, we could say 5.5 to 6. We could say we're probably in that 5.5 to 6 range. We could end up a little lower than that. Could say,
So we'll try and land somewhere within that window, and that's the number we'll bring to the public hearing, because you have to vote on a final budget.
right, after the public
yeah.
hearing, we would need to vote on our proposed budget.
Thank you very much, Tom. We're gonna have to find a consensus. This changes happen.
Really, everyone's good? Okay, good, thanks, Chuck. Yep. Okay, so then, supposed to talk about the capital, so we have in between the next agenda item is discussion information, high school walkthrough follow-up discussion, which does then kind of bleed into the capital plan. So maybe we can do a brief discussion on the high school walkthrough, and then we go right into the capital discussion. So does anyone want to talk up about high school walkthrough? Anyone want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I'll start by saying thank you to everyone for, giving us the opportunity to walk through the school. I was very impressed with some of the artwork that I saw that was on the walls. And the ceramic class that we visited, I think that was a great experience for me to see what the students are learning and doing. I got a newfound understanding of what's happening with the lockers. I'd heard previously, all anecdotal, that the lockers are in bad shape. And I actually got to view them, and they are really in bad shape. So I think that was eye-opening to me. But overall, I think we have a great school system. I think the academics are great, and yes, improvements are always there. And yeah, we need to work to get those things improved. So
When was the walkthrough?
Remember what day?
That's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, we tried to find, I know we were able to get 4 of you. We can always try and for another one, down the road, another school as well.
It's down the road.
As you want,
Okay,
next
let's
couple
do it.
months.
Can we wait?
Yeah, definitely pick another school.
I can't
or-
see, this is like the third one you've offered and
I know you haven't, I know, Julie.
well, I've been traveling, so that's. why-
Yeah, that's the tough part. We were looking at the 2 days and trying to pick the one where the most people.
No, I understand.
Could attend, but, yeah, but we can do more. We did one last year, we'll do some more.
Thought it was extremely valuable. I'd love to see other schools. Thank you, everyone who put that together.
I found, getting to kind of walked about, one thing Kevin said that struck me, and now I can't unsee it, and maybe it's like Bill and the uneven, which I have not noticed, so now I'm gonna go out and, now I'm gonna go out there and see that, and I'm not gonna be able to lose that. But Kevin had said, if you walk into the building and you stand right there and you look around, do you know what school you're in?
Oh.
And the answer is no. I've been in here thousands of times. I don't really think about it. But when the new person comes in, you stand in there and you look
Is
around,
there something up there as you walk in, like over the?
be kind of distant, but you kind of look around, there's a lot of green. There's, the branding and.
There is no branding.
We really don't, and we have these fantastic art, we walk up in the art wing and you see these, paintings and pictures and ceramics, and it's like, this is amazing, things that I could never even dream of doing. And wow, we have this talent, why aren't we displaying it everywhere and showcasing and change? So, that's kind of stuck in my head a lot, that, we have a lot of special students who are really talented, and we should be showcasing it everywhere, and we should be shouting from the rooftops that this is East Lyme High School. Be very proud of what we have here, because it is special what we have here. So that is something that, and then as I walk through, when I see things, it's like, wow, we're not doing what we're asking our students to do, is, high performing and creating a culture that is hearing and thinking and all that. And maybe we're not aligned with how we're investing in our buildings and so that was an observation for me.
Apart from that, how did you see the students?
So the class, I forgot. So the classrooms, I found it pretty interesting to see the ones that we went in and just seeing how many, how many students, how they're arranged, how they're sitting in a classroom and learning and teaching. And so we went in the culinary room, we went in personal finance, we went in woodworking, which is really interesting what the new teacher has done. And there's a lot of opportunity, I think, in that. We saw an AP calculus, we saw AP Calc and,
Oh, the
EMT?
EMT and C, that was really interesting to see what we have set up, and you come in and there's a. I mean, what do you call it? I don't know what you'd call it, a dummy man on the floor, who has an injury.
Had a name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry?
The dummy has a name and I don't remember.
with Larry.
Larry?
Yeah.
So Larry was on the ground, he had a cut on his head. Anyway, so it's just interesting to kind of see and what we're offering. I mean, that's, it's great that we have someone who's willing to do this, and we're offering Old Lyme and Waterford.
Yes.
For students and pay.
Elizabeth Reagan written about that.
BMT course? She did all the pathways a while back. That might have been part of it.
Some good trust on that.
It's coming into this week or next week to talk about the CHC, to do an article on the CHC program.
Yeah.
So that's good. But
And we saw the space somewhere that's gonna go.
Yep.
So it's nice. There's just a lot that's going on, and we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Walking around and seeing is definitely.
I think we need to do that more, be ambassadors for our own system and. We don't want to brag, but we should.
Yeah.
you saw the pool as well, let's do the pool and the weight room. Just to get a flavor of looking at the ceiling, of the pool and why you need that new roof. So that was part of that, yeah.
Can I ask a question about the CHC? Is this ever gonna lead into that we provide things such as vaccination or other, or are we just gonna stay in the mental health / behavioral health component? Just curious.
It could lead to that other.
Okay.
Piece. We're starting with the mental health, move to the middle school after the high school, and then maybe expand from there. Dental is another piece that could be part of it. So.
So we're putting a substation in the middle school also.
Eventually, that's the goal, yeah. Start with high school and then move it to the middle school substation.
A year, 2 years?
I would hope that maybe we can talk about that for next year. We just have to build that base up, to make sure it's funding itself, for the rest of this year.
And then we got the insurance thing covered, but we're gonna do.
Yep, we're already
You're gonna-
reaching out to parents and, having them sign up, and, that's where we're at right now.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I was sorry I couldn't go.
Yeah.
And I always love telling the story of when I was a substitute SLP here a few years ago, and I had come from another school district, and people would look at me and say, "Miss, can I help you carry your bags?" And they'd open doors for me, and I would be like, where am I? Like, this place is amazing. So it's a pretty amazing school.
Okay, so maybe we now transition to the 10-year capital project request list. I don't know. Chris, you wanna?
Yeah, Chris is gonna kind of run
Walk
through, this
through
has
this,
been,
yeah.
just so you know too, this has been shared with the town, so they have this list, and it's, obviously we want to make sure we have reviewed this in a while as a board, and, new board members as well, making sure everybody has eyes on this. This is pretty comprehensive.
So as I was putting this together, or just putting my notes together for tonight, I didn't want to just walk through this like we always do, one project at a time. So I figured I'd try to paint this in as a little bit of a picture, in the good, the bad, and the not so good nor bad. So in the column or the category of the good, basically, let's start with the elementary schools. Had major renovations done on those recently, a couple of years ago. That was very comprehensive for those. So if you look at what's remaining at the elementary school, there's not a lot, as one would expect. We know we have the roof at Niantic Center, we have the roof at Lily B. Haynes in the coming year because they were just not old enough at the time of the renovations to qualify for reimbursements. So we have to do that. But once we get beyond that, we're just going to continue having to take care of those types of age out type of maintenance projects that come up, whether it's the boilers at Flanders that will be approaching their recapitalization age. Niantic Center School, the same as well. There's boilers, but nothing atypical for those structures. So just continue to monitor the elementary schools, program things that come up. Middle school, although older, is sort of in the same boat in that it's in actually very good condition for a 20-year building. We're taking care of the roof that we know is getting to age in sections. We're taking care of the equipment in phases. on the roof that we knew we were gonna have to take care of. We just opened bids the other day for 2 more rooftop units at the middle school that will be replaced in the early part of the summer. We have another one that's also previously awarded that will be replaced about the same time. And again, we'll continue to monitor and program for those projects at the middle school that come up. So those 4 schools really are just maintain them responsibly and appropriately as they continue to age. Where a lot of the work needs to come, of course, is central office. It's an admin building. We don't think about it as much because nobody's in there for classes. The north wing or the old Learn wing at Haynes, which was not done during the renovation, which we continue to occupy at almost 100% now. And of course, the high school. So you will see, and just starting with central office, because it's the easiest, that I did put a couple of projects in there, and it's all titled and estimated at TBD. Because we're gonna need to make some decisions overall what to do with central office. Do we need the amount of space that we currently occupy in there, or the small number, quite honestly, by square footage, number of occupants? It's an older building, it's not ADA accessible. It still has steam boilers and steam radiators. It is a 110-year-old building. So we really do need to decide what is the best future for that space, whether we basically gut it and maintain it, the facade, so it looks like the old building, but it's modern inside, or maybe we look elsewhere for space. There are lots of options, but again, that's going to be the choice that needs to be made by the board about what to do with that. So that is TBD. That can slide anywhere along that 10-year path, and I would probably anticipate it probably is going to move further to the right. But it is something that you and your predecessors or your successors will need to determine what to do with. Same goes with the Learn wing, although if you look at Haynes, I think that wing is a bit more higher priority because it was not done with the rest of the building a couple of years ago. We don't have the same air quality in there as we do in the rest of the building. Air quality is something that has become a major issue in Connecticut schools in the last couple of years. It's mandated by law now. We will need to address it, I think, in the near future, solely because we are responsible for producing these reports that tell us what our buildings are and then dealing with it. And that is an area that's going to need to be dealt with. There's still asbestos in that wing. It still has the old lighting. Really, I think the thought was that the building would be renovated. That wing would not be used. It was going to be mothballed, and the mothballs never appeared. So again, that's something that you and your successors will need to make a decision on, although I think that has a shorter time frame than everything else. Again, because we are using it and we're using it for a wide variety of populations that are in there right now. And high school, since it was toured recently, and some of the things that had been on my list were mentioned. Miss Kelly's not here, but she and I talked a couple years ago, right after COVID, about spacing and whatnot. And the first thing that came up, and this is in no particular order, was the auditorium. We put money into curtains because they needed to be replaced. Redid the stage this past summer because it too was an unsafe surface to walk on. I could just see my daughters as dancers tripping in all the little holes that had appeared over the years from things being hammered into it. But moving further beyond that, looking out into the audience from there, you know, old seats that, you know, people have gotten a little wider over the years. And you can see that in the studies. I'm not just saying that, but also if we wanted to use it for a classroom space, there's no IT really, and there's no electrical. They have the original folding doors to make the wings up in the area isolated. Those doors don't necessarily work anymore. But again, we don't have the infrastructure really to make those classrooms, although we have space right there. That would be excellent. It's almost like a college lecture hall, really. And we could do that. So as we look to that space, we can make it both academic and improve it both academically and from a performing arts perspective, or just from an assembly perspective. So we did have that looked at as well, you know, and there's carpeting, chairs, IT, electricity, everything in there. Again, that's could be a standalone project and renovation, we do, that's 1 year, work on that. You also mentioned the athletic swing. That's something as well that we've been looking at. Actually, there's a project in the works right now, and I'm waiting for the final designs, and we'll put it out to bid as soon as they come in to put air conditioning into the north wing, or into the north gym, excuse me, into the north gym, so that that space will be climate controlled year round, which actually, other than just for comfort's sake, will really help the rest of the building, because in the summer, with all the traffic in and out of there, people get hot in the gym. They figure they're gonna solve their problem by opening the doors, and all that does is introduce all that humid air into the rest of the building. So we're constantly fighting that battle, wasting a lot of energy, potentially introducing mold into the building and whatnot. So that, I think, is gonna be a significant improvement to the livability of the space over there. But if you look at the south gym, that's okay. Could use a coat of paint, maybe the floors due for upside, but what I really wanted to focus on, and you see that renovation here, is that space between the north and south gym, which is where the locker rooms are, which is where the offices are, which I still laugh every time I go into the men's PE office and look at the guys' desks in the shower stalls. I'm always tempted just to go in there. That's just me. I know that they've been disabled, but that whole space in between needs to be renovated. We can do so much more just from a functionality. There's a lot of wasted space in there now, because since it was built 50 years ago, whatever the date is, you know, what we use it for has changed, how it's used, who occupies it. I don't even think that we have showers left in some spaces, so it's just bad storage. So we could take that whole center block and do so much with it. And you all saw that who've been in there. So that's another major project. And then that side, this side, and what's left is the academic spaces in the middle. And I think you've seen that there's a lot of opportunity in that space for improvements to individual classrooms to provide different functionality, more capacity, more IT, of course. I would, as a CT type of person, you know, in addition to what Nate's doing in the shop, you know, it'd be nice to expand that outside of just those types of trades and go into different rooms and offer different opportunities like they are currently doing. So I think there's a lot of opportunities as well in the academic spaces. And what is missing from this list is equally important, not as flashy, but that's the infrastructure for all of this, whether it's pavements outside, or as I learned at Lily B. Haynes today, we had a original feeder between electrical panels that feed the appliances and the receptacles in the kitchen. You know, 60-year-old cable that's in the ground, and we found out later to be encased in concrete also. It went bad over the weekend. Probably the insulation wore through over years, shorted out, so we lost that functionality. And now we have an unexpected, pretty pricey repair to make as soon as we can get it. And as you all know, the supply chain is a little different, so getting 2-watt gauge wire can take a little longer than just going down to Home Depot and get 12 gauge. So we were hoping to have that up in a week or two, provided we can get the materials. But again, we can't go back through the floor, so it's going to be going through the overhead. And I have the same concerns here. We are getting more and more clogged drains, and we're finding that they're collapsed pipes, or the original switchboard in the back room is from 1960. If that were to go, it would take 6 to 12 months to get a switchboard replaced. So in addition to functionality, we also have to take care of the infrastructure that supports that. So a little different than going through everything piece by piece. I hope generated at least some thoughts for additional discussion at some point. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
So with the auditorium, I know that when it was originally designed, or what I've been told anyway, I don't know the fact, but what I've been told is that there was intention for dressing rooms, and my understanding is that there aren't dressing rooms for our actors and actresses when they come on and off stage, and there's not, so that would be something that would be nice to, yeah. Is there space back there? How would that be
I think there's space that could be potentially reconfigured, but again, it'd be something to bring in the architects and the experts and look at it. One of the thoughts that I had, there's also no space for storage of props and whatnot. One of the thoughts I had was just to do a little bump out on the backside of the stage. Wouldn't even necessarily have to be climate controlled, but at least secure, and then that would give them all that space for the props and whatnot. And that could free up some space that then could be used for potentially dressing rooms or whatnot.
I'm just curious, do you know the square footage of the high school?
I want to say two,
Not to put you on the spot.
230. Was that?
Well, Henry was leading in.
Oh, 230 sticks in my head for some reason.
Talking.
I think it's like, yeah.
No, I was just trying to hear, sorry.
Oh.
I had 180 in my head, but you know, somewhere around two.
Vision book at home, I can.
Well, let's say this.
I have it hanging out.
Building 700, just over 700,000 square feet of building space for all of our. I know, the elementary is a little, B's 100. The other two are under that 60 and 58 roughly, so.
And it's bigger, of course, the middle school and high school are about the same.
Yeah, I was just
I have it
curious.
hanging next to my desk. I can get you an answer tomorrow.
Did you have your?
You can go first.
This is embarrassing that I've been on the board for this long and I don't really know the answer to this question, but we've got this capital plan and you've been on board for a little while. What was in the capital plan for this year and did it get kicked down the can or did it kick down the road or did we do it? What was in for last year?
What was? I think what I put in the last couple of years has been approved with minor changes, but you know, I made the approach of putting in what I thought could be approved.
Yeah, like the middle school roof, you know, those two roof projects.
This year, though, we would have. So that's why this year is so much bigger than the others, as well as we recognize that with the completion of the elementary renovations that we didn't want to necessarily add too quickly to the debt. So we were trying to be cognizant of what did we program dollar wise, while of course still maintaining the physical plant appropriately, as well as having a program that we could execute given the resources we have in hand. So I don't think there's much that was taken off that was in there. I don't recall offhand. But you know, again, I didn't program it beyond what I thought we could address. I don't know if that answers the question you were asking.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to, is sometimes we get these plans and it looks great, but everything just keeps shifting down the road. We don't ever get to the point where we want to be. I'm just, from your perspectives, from what you've experienced so far, are we actually putting things and addressing them as needed? I guess we're very conservative with what we put in because we came off the middle school, the elementary.
Elementaries, yeah.
Because I see this really, we need to renovate the high school, is what it comes down to. So.
I think the only thing, to answer your question, the only things that I might have considered doing differently with programs would have been to do the Haynes and Nyack Center roofs maybe a year or two earlier, not at the same time, knowing that they're coming, as well as I probably would have asked for significantly more money for the middle school rooftop units to try to get them done earlier, knowing that we're gonna have to do the same thing over at high school. So I've been trying to do them in parallel. The problem I've been facing with the high school, which I step back on, is we have the solar array on the roof. So now what I'm trying to do is get other stuff done before the array comes off, assuming that when the array comes off, it'll be time to do the roof and some of the HVAC equipment there in the B-wing in particular.
To give some numbers in perspective to the total town CIP budget going into next year is 18 million. We're 9 million of that. And then correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, the 10-year, and Chris, you know, this, I think it was 30 million in total dollars over the next 10 years. That's what the town is looking at. Just to have some numbers in perspective. So,
Yeah, I don't have the down number.
yeah, I just remember from Kevin's Gervais some emails that 30 million over the next 10 years.
So when was the high school when was the high school last renovated? How long ago was that?
The B-wing was built in 98. So, well, Commons renovation and whatnot was 98. That was the last major renovation. There have been individual done that period at various times. The boiler room, exterior boiler room, and the boilers.
So if we're
I'm
looking
not
at
sure of the year on that right now.
10-year piece, without saying that we're renovating high school, we're looking at a 30-year-old plus facility without talking about renovation. So do we really, you know, does this turn into a discussion about renovating?
I just would say I'd love to go through another renovation project. You know, maybe we could rephase and, you know,
Somebody's got to say what the reality.
No, it is right. You're absolutely right, Bill. You know, you're gonna piece.
I mean, what are you gonna do? To keep putting paint on the peeling wall or what? It eventually.
Thanks. Olivia. Thanks for throwing that out.
I mean,
I
the-
appreciate it.
The middle school is 20 years old, you said?
23 now.
Well,
Will be 23, yeah.
when you walk in, it looks beautiful. It's been maintained, or, you know, you go into the bathrooms, they're nice, the space, it doesn't look like or well, I don't know, maybe the space that I've been to, you walk in here and you don't feel that way. Oh, I don't know.
Mentioned the mechanical issue of mechanicals not talking to each other too, from when they did do this renovation, right? We still had that issue. That's why hence I think it was so freezing cold in this room all the time in the summer with the air conditioning, because it doesn't regulate. Sorry, Ken, I didn't mean to.
So Mariana looked up the square footage for the high school.
Oh, good. What is it?
237, 489. So
Renovation cost per square foot.
No, 10 years ago, it was $400 a square foot.
I was gonna say 500 is what some states are reimbursing based or making reimbursements based on. So
Our walkthrough was talking about the functionality of the building and how it's changed with different programming and, you know, how renovating is not necessarily a problem in terms of space needs. Even in the.
So you want a new building? is what you're
Well,
saying.
I'm just.
The library, we talked a lot about the library when we were, you know, the
Yeah.
functionality of that large library space.
Right. It presents challenges, you know.
No, yeah, this is,
See like cafe style and booths and different things. There's so much that could be changed and done.
That's probably talked about elementary schools. There's no land to build a new school.
when we renovated Old Lyme, there was new school, renovate, and in the end, I think the architects did a pretty darn good job
Yeah, I haven't been.
fixing what we had. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's significant improvement in usage of things, I think. Plenty of square footage here. I'm sure if you get the right group of architects, you could make it really functional. Whether it, in the end, it's less expensive than building new,
I think. I mean, look what we did with the elementary schools, 3 schools for 37.5 million. I mean, that at one point was 100 million, then it was 80 million, and then, it dropped down to 37.5.
Well, it's because we cut our wants into needs.
We did, and we're still, things are still behind walls and under concrete floors, which are a problem, so. I'm sure, we're not gonna solve that now, but.
Should we vote? We want a new school? No. We have a motion, so Chris, thanks so much. Do we have additional questions for Chris?
I have one last question.
Yeah.
So out of do all these projects qualify for like reimbursement from the state or some of them, or like there'll be some, which ones like for, in a future update, like which ones would qualify for that? We kind of maybe want to prioritize those where we'll get some contribution.
All the roof projects.
Yeah. So
The dollars in here, sorry, just the dollars in here are net or they're the gross numbers. So it is 40x% cheaper for those projects.
I did have a question about central office, if that would qualify for funding for it being an historic building.
I think you have to get
Sure.
status.
yeah, so we'd have to, that's a couple of different routes. People that, or offices that manage that. And again, I don't think it's been designated as such.
That's a process though, because that Flowers Home didn't need to be raised. It could have been maintained or sustained had, we had information about it prior to it being leveled. So, same thing here.
Yeah, we'd have to look at that. I know at least, the administrative buildings typically have not qualified for.
They don't qualify for
Yeah,
full funding.
full ones, but there may be other grants available.
The good news, remember, the roof was done on that 11 years ago. So it had a new
What
roof
it was.
put on it. So the roof's in good shape. It's just the rest of the interior. The windows are still on ropes. But, most of them don't open anymore.
So quaint.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Thanks, Chris.
Anything other than this?
Yeah.
It's a very comprehensive list. That's the only comment I'll make. I think this is, it's eye-opening for me at least. I'm a little bit naive to all this process. But I want to come back to what we discussed earlier, where, Eric was thinking of maybe we have small, some value, some amount specified in our budget to maybe take care of some improvement things. And Eric was, Esteban was suggesting maybe everything goes into the capital budget, capital improvement budget. I'm kind of thinking that means there are things over here that if you wait for capital budget, it may be capital improvement budget to be approved and getting it going. It may just take too long. And again, I think some people have had the experience that things keep getting pushed out. If there are some things that we can identify over here, and I'm just picking at a small, like the auditorium carpet. Okay, I'm just taking that as an example. If that's something that the school, thinks that's an important thing, we need to kind of do that on a more urgent basis. Maybe that's something that can be done as part of the budget, where we carry some money over there, set it aside. We have it as a line item. So even if it is questioned, we say why it is there rather than saying to be decided, because that will get chopped immediately. At the same time, making sure that the global language program that can keep getting pushed out doesn't get impacted. It's a balance we have to play, and that's where my naivety comes in. I don't know how the process works, but I think it's workable if we kind of decide what we want to do. Because otherwise, it'll keep getting pushed out. I can see that. I come from the corporate world. I know how it works. So, and I don't think these things are any different for the town either. So if you don't specify our priorities, they will get pushed out. So that's the only comment I would like to make, and thank you very much for putting this list together.
Great comment, and that's exactly what happens is things keep getting delayed and pushed out, and then it's 10 years later and things are, yeah.
Sorry, I have one more question. So I didn't see anything about the firehouse that we acquired, or the firehouse building. Do we have to do any, is there anything that we need to do to that building, or we're just not touching it for now, or?
We've been doing a lot of aesthetic, cosmetic, and simple things, but the roof is relatively new on there. The interior is otherwise in good shape. The boiler, which is a relatively small boiler, will need to be replaced in the near future, but that's not much larger than a large residential boiler.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay, thanks. Good discussion. Moving on, discussion action items, policy. Discussion, we have first review, suggestion, revision of policy in the 4,000 series. Turn over to Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa, do you want to share information on that one, the policy, or?
Yep, let me just bring it up, Jeff. All right, I have you up and I'm need to get my other screen.
While Lisa's pulling that up, too, we're, our committee for the Increasing Educator Diversity Plan, which is driven by this policy, is meeting, for our first meeting this week. So we have to create, a new revised plan. And that has to be submitted to the state by mid-March. So we have 2 meetings scheduled around the books, to put that plan together, some representatives from the district, and we're also working with a representative from Learn. Esteban is, joining us as well, kind of a parent and board member perspective. And excited to kind of get that plan together, but we need to get this policy to the board now so we can do its first read and then do the second reading. Find it, Elisa? You want me to?
Yep, I've got it.
Okay.
Thank you. So the policy committee met today and there is one proposed first review. It is policy 411.3, increasing educator diversity plan. Please have a look at the policy and submit any questions that any of the board members have to Jeff. And additional policies will be coming forward to the board in the next meeting.
And everyone has, so it's 30 to provide comments to Jeff.
Yeah, if there's any feedback, this is the first read, and then the second read will come and we'll finalize at the March 4th Board of Ed meeting.
There's a typo on line 3. The board will develop contacts with local training and educational institutions.
I've got that circled on my, thank you. Yep, I saw that too. Okay, thank you.
And at some point, do we talk about, I mean, this is a policy, do we talk about the plan? How does that?
We're gonna bring the plan forward on the 4th.
Got it.
Yep, so you can see it then, and that has to be finalized, and will then go to the board by the 15th. of March.
Thank you.
Are we to be notified of those meetings?
Oh, which meetings?
The group that's getting together to write this policy.
No, no, it's really a small committee, and Learn is helping us kind of derive the development of it. So have it done and ready to go. Some of it's already kind of, we've got a template from the state. It's all kind of state driven.
Other questions, discussion? Okay, that closes our discussion action items for the evening. Move on to administration reports and Jeff.
So Dr. Lund talked about the Lily Eagles issue, just to give a little bit more context with that, because it is a pretty major issue. On Saturday, thank goodness for the great custodial staff that we have. James, who is the head custodian there, was there because of basketball. He does his building checks, walked through the kitchen and found that the refrigerators, everything was out. Yeah, so he caught it in time, contacted Mr. Cockruth, contacted Chris Urban. Chris Urban came down Saturday. We were all in touch Saturday. We got $10,000 worth of food moved to the middle school. So if it had not caught that, we would have lost $10,000 worth of food. So, well, kudos to James for catching that and sharing that right away with Brian and and Chris.
Viking Valor Award.
He got one a couple years ago.
Did he?
Yeah, we gave him one a couple years ago.
I'm not being sarcastic. That's a
No,
lot of money.
but no, Chris Urban came down, 5 truckloads of food were moved to the middle school. And they'll have to move all that back once this problem, is rectified and fixed. And right now they're cooking food at the middle school and trucking it down to Lily Bay. Yeah, so through warmers and et cetera. So making it work. That Lily Bay, remember, is the only building that doesn't have a generator. That's the only one. So remember, we were gonna do that fuel cell back when we were doing renovations, so we didn't do it. So something, again, we talked about a 10-year plan. This could have been the whole building, and it's gonna take a while to get this problem fixed, because it's pretty extensive, and it's gonna cost somewhere between $14,000 to $30,000 to fix. So
Insurance cover any of it?
we'll check. Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. Let's see, but
In this case, it doesn't say whether we had a generator or not, though, if the feed line was
The feed
bad,
line, yeah,
we would have
yeah.
been able to,
good
handle
point.
that.
Yeah, good point, because it all would have gone through the feed line.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep you posted, but that hopefully, again, hope by the end of this week, we're optimistic that Hunter Electric will have it rectified, but as Chris said, they got to run up rather than trenching, through the kitchen and through the floor. So stay tuned there. I had just let you know about the greenhouse, the Flanders greenhouse. If anybody's available on February 28th, we're doing a little greenhouse ceremony at 2:45. 2:45, yeah. So we'll have some plants and things in there. So I know it's a rough kind of time during the day, but that's the one time we could make that happen. So a little greenhouse ribbon cutting. I emailed about the scores table, the basketball scores table. I put that in the weekly update. So I think that could be a real win-win to be able to get that, earn more money off of that, and then we'd have double for the from the baseball scoreboard, which is supposed to be in soon. So that can be installed in the early spring. Scores table, and then we start working on the football. So good, yeah. So this would be a nice new scores table with electronic signage across the front of it for
Candace will be happy.
okay. There you go. Good. So that's in the works. And then Annalise, myself and Deb Kelly were working on putting together a survey that we pushed out as an alumni blast up to
47 responses
So we're up
as
to-
of maybe 25 minutes ago, because I'm like.
put out to every alumni that we have contact for. And so far, we've gotten quite a bit of comprehensive information, where they're living,
How much did you send it?
occupation.
Well, in Naviance, we collect personal emails, and so we blasted it out as sort of an opt-in to be on a listserv. So we didn't want to just use that list and assume that people would be okay with us using that. So it's sort of an opt-in, people sign up, but while they were signing up, we felt like it would be great to collect some information that might help with the Pathways programming or employment needs and, so questions around whether or not they'd be,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is gonna lead to the Ed Foundation too, so we can get contact.
We're gonna share this listserv with our, community-based organizations who could benefit from having, in contact with our alumni. So, we'll get it out on Facebook. Feel free to share it on with, folks that who are alumni in the, community and beyond. We're also looking at connecting with former, in-house alumni. So we're collecting names of people that work for the East Line Public Schools who are alumni. So we're working on that, but then also connecting with our class officers. So another kind of avenue to have direct contact with class officers. So that's sort of like work that's happening on the back end, but
And
Yeah.
this is just for, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry?
This list is for what, again?
Alumni, former, yep.
Alumni, and we're gonna give that to, you're using it for some, yes.
So in the letter, it was, we stated that we would share the listserv with community-based organizations such as the Ed Foundation, Stars to STEM, Miracle League. So all of the different organizations that might benefit from having a list of contacts.
And
And then connecting them with each other.
trying to grow,
Eventually.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just providing those organizations with names so that they have additional contacts to reach out to if there are community-based events that are happening that folks might be interested in.
Okay, wait, is it just school? Is it just school functions or school, like the band, the cheerleaders, the?
No, Miracle League, Stars to STEM, other organizations that are associated with us.
Right now, we're just collecting names of alumni and developing a list of them that can be, and people are opting in. So they actually fill out the information and provide us with it.
May I call you about this? Cause I have some concerns.
We're just building a greater database of former.
I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing, but I just have some question. No, may I call her?
No, call me. I'll take care of it. I'll talk to you. I mean, we're working on. Start with me. I'll pull Annalise in as necessary. How's that?
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
no, I do.
Give me a call tomorrow.
Board of Love too.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's true.
I'll put the link to the survey in our weekly, and then you guys will have the link. You can share it accordingly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good job.
It is very exciting
It
to look
is.
at the information we're collecting.
All part of the marketing goal that we have, under the Board of Ed, the 4 goals. So,
Absolutely. You've got some strong alum.
yeah, definitely.
We do. Very strong alum. It's a kind of, blowing me away a little bit. Makes me proud. Yeah.
All right. That's all I have.
Okay, well, just
Excited.
Just two quick things that I'll follow up in the weekly, kind of exciting about this week. Danielle mentioned today's the 100th day of school, but it also kicks off our first ever math week at the elementary level, similar to Read Across America, but with shining the light on math, because math's important too. Our math coaches have done a phenomenal job at building grade level based activities across the buildings that will be implemented over the course of the week. They'll be pushing in, teaching kids how to use, it's really all game-based for the most part. And then with the donation from the Rotary Club, we were able to actually purchase materials and supplies that will go home to every student across all 3 elementary schools with the math games that they learned this week to help them practice those math games at home. Part of our, homework guidelines in terms of practicing math in a way that's fun and exciting, but works on those really important basic skills.
Like 2 + 2.
Yeah, today they were doing base 10 because it's, 100th day of school, but, through lots of different fun and exciting activities. Zero the Hero was around.
Dressed up.
The Hero.
Security staff members dressed up.
Yeah.
We're the Hero Panic Center.
My kids have been asking me for years to reveal the identity of Zero the Hero, and I keep telling them I don't know.
Oh,
I don't have no.
secret.
Zero the Hero.
It's Mr. Newton.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it clear.
And then we are 1 hire away from being fully staffed in our high dose tutoring program.
wow.
So we've made significant strides, and I will say that our mentoring program has come in handy because we've gotten to know some folks, and I made a couple of phone calls to some of our mentors who were very interested and applied and have since been hired by Catapult. So just a great way of how our networking outside of, the traditional space is supporting some of the work in.
Screenagers.
And screenagers, I put it in the weekly update. We had a very disappointing turnout.
But it was
So,
a powerful, impactful presentation. Amazing.
yeah, so, just a follow-up to that, we do have additional licenses that we can share with folks. So, when Jeff and I meet with PTAs this month, I'm going to offer folks who might want to host a smaller showing in, their homes with friends and family that I can, they can email me and I'll provide them with a license, and then they can do it that way. So we'll try to keep it going. So that's sort of a one and done, but we're really struggling with sort of these big events. You know, at night, there's just too many competing priorities. So we'll have to think differently moving forward about the way we engage with families to support them supporting.
Saturday help? I know you guys don't need to work any more hours than you do, but I'm just. Probably not, no.
I just don't think, it's hard to get people out.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is.
So busy.
People are going in so many directions.
But our high school panel was phenomenal.
They were.
And did a really great job at being authentic and real around the influence of technology on their lives and how they manage it and the challenges. So it was really great perspective.
That's very good.
Thank you for coming.
Impeccable. Yeah, no, I was really proud to come. I'm glad I did. And I really thought Alicia
Alicia,
did a beautiful job as well, so.
she's very knowledgeable in that area.
You weren't there, you missed it. I tried.
Thanks, thanks, Annalise.
You're welcome.
Mariana?
Nothing very exciting at all. I'll follow that. Our W-2s and 1099s went out.
Big job.
Got their W-2.
I think that's very exciting. I
Yes,
just
I'm
want you to
sure.
know.
So excited.
And you weren't late.
No, timely fashion.
Oh my gosh, you did get it before the due date. Well, yeah. No, I didn't. That one.
Okay, so moving on from administration reports, committee report, there was a policy meeting just before this. You guys just read out, Elise, anything to add?
Not in additional to what I mentioned, just that there will be another policy meeting on March 18th. And additional policies will be presented to the board at our next board meeting.
Thanks, Elisa. Okay, and Kate?
Okay, we have a webinar on 2/8 at 11 o'clock. It's gonna be an overview of the governor's budget. The General Assembly starts 2/7. Just 2 days.
Wednesday.
There's an area 4 breakfast at Brooklyn Middle School. Can't read my handwriting. Sometime this month. It's 2/22. There's an area 2 breakfast at the Capitol on 2/21. This month is hashtag I Support My Public Schools Month. So they are looking for really short little 1-minute videos from public schools, students, clubs, sports, whatever, to submit to CAVE, and they will put it out on a blast. With I Support My Public Schools, they need all videos by the 23rd. So if you want the link, let me know, I'll get it to you.
Send it over again, Jim, if you don't mind. I
Yeah.
did see that once and then it got buried.
Yeah, I'll send it over.
Right.
But they're doing, I think today they posted something from Torrington. On something new that they got in their schools. So it's a nice little way to support your public schools during budget season with the Capitol building and your own state budgets. So it's a nice little thing. But we do have our board of directors meeting on Wednesday. So
Jamie, and for Learn, there is a meeting later this week, so I'll give an update after that meeting. Moving to board comments, future agenda items. Jamie, Esteban.
All right. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who came to the class of 2024 Safe Grad Comedy Night. It was a huge hit. Also, everyone who came to the Niantic Center School PTA Art Soiree. It was a lot of fun. Vivek, you were there. It was a great time. Thank you for supporting. You sponsored. You actually were a sponsor for the night. It was great. The kids had fun. Walked with a lot of artwork. Also, everyone who went to the Miracle League Magic Night, Lee was there. We had a nice time. It was fascinating what was done that night, but it was still mind blowing, but it was fun and a great night. We had a lot of people. My other thing is the Miracle Bathrooms. Phase 2, we're like 99% complete. You want to take a look, walk on down past Flanders. There's some nice bathrooms. We're just finishing some milling, grading, and then they'll be done. They will only be open during Miracle events. We're working out something with the schools at Park and Rec for if they need the bathrooms at any certain time, but we don't want them just open. And then the Youth Family Human Services Commission, we have our second meeting on Thursday. And that's going well. We've already gotten a budget together and everything, so we're doing well.
So I was thinking, for our goal of like marketing and community, involvement. I think it will be, you know, not that I want to give Jeff more work, but I don't point to. It will be great to share with the community, like all the Viking Valor, like in like snippet and in the newsletter or like in social media, because we know, you know, we're recognizing all these great folks that are doing here in the schools, but the community in general doesn't get to see it, only if they're looking at the Board of Ed video meeting, and how many people are.
Thousands of people.
I know, we're not going viral, but it'd be great to, you know, for the community, you know, for involvement, not for involvement, for climate and you know, recognizing those folks like Nurse Tracy, like, you know, the great thing that they do, and the student presentation. So to have that, because I think that will also generate more support for the schools, so that they knowing like all of our great employees and students and whatnot. So be a good idea to like just.
Social media.
Yeah,
I know you sway too, I'm sure, you know, with Tracy, yeah.
posted the recipients so far of Viking Valor on our Facebook page, but clearly it's not
I was
reaching
saying, I missed
everybody.
them.
So, you know.
Does it go out on Instagram as well?
Missed those.
Yeah,
Good
so
following when you guys
you
getting
can
on.
see it. Could be the user,
Central office?
could be user error, I'm
Central
just saying,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's a central office one. Just might circle back and look and we can always post them again. Hey, here's our, you know, 3 or 4 Viking dollars of this year.
Do it. I did do
And
it.
I liked it.
It is there. It's there, okay?
Oh, no, we believe you.
No, I
I
guess
think
it-
it's my algorithm, so remember.
Put
Because
it
I
out
think
again.
we did them like a bunch of them at once.
Yeah.
I did,
That's
I
okay.
did, yes. So I'm trying to get better at that. I'm working on the work here.
It's been a continued learning experience.
I am not I am
your
far from an
children.
expert on this, but there's Instagram stories and then there's posts, so that you might also.
Stories are, yeah, do the stories, because it makes people click. Even if it's there for 24 hours, people still click on the story and then they click on you.
Okay,
I think that
all right.
the,
Got Challenger.
I'd say the younger generation, I don't know how to say that politically correct, but that I think that they do more the stories than the feeds.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Great, I'm gonna do it.
I was always the feed and didn't really even know, so that's just where I'm still getting up to. So now I start looking at the stories as well.
Or you don't have to do anything, just post.
Anything you want, put on.
So.
So
That was good, that's good.
the thank yous for donations, is that something that happens for the Lions Club and the Leos or whoever? it
Yeah,
was?
we just sent the 2 out for the Rotary.
The Rotary, right?
Yeah, and Daigle Foundation provided a check for Chris Heron, who's coming on the 28th, I think it is. We just sent a thank you of that one. Chris is great about getting those letters, you know,
I just
having
wanted
ready to
to ask,
go. And
you know, I just think it's so important, and I know.
Yep. Other board comment?
Well, I also think that it's important if we reach out, you know, like there's been a lot of, I think negative press or, unfair press that's gone on with our town, with some of our other commissions, not Board of Ed. I think we've been really lucky and doing well recently and for a while. But, you know, I don't think it hurts to contact the reporters and say, there's some really great stuff going on here and you're remiss by not following it and publicizing it and letting people know. It's not just the kids who are doing sports things, but we have some amazing faculty and administration and, you know, it's good work. It's good work that's happening. Smith Reagan's the contact.
Yep.
With her on speed dial.
I would like to make a motion to resign.
Wait, that's changing the whole meeting.
I'll second
To
that.
adjourn. Sorry, I do not make a motion. Wait.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
I think a liaison.
We are here. Thanks, everyone.
going along. Question. Thanks for your recording.